Today's episode of Tony's Fords and Mustangs includes the following: Jim Morrison of the Doors, Charles Manson, convicted murderer and cult leader, a 1967 Shelby GT500, and a 52-year-old mystery that maybe one of you could help solve. James Douglas Morrison, better known as Jim Morrison, was an American singer, songwriter, and poet who is best known as the lead vocalist of the rock band The Doors. Morrison developed an interest in poetry and literature at a young age and studied film and theater at Florida State University before dropping out to move to Los Angeles in the mid-60s. It was there that he joined The Doors, with keyboardist Ray Manzarek, guitarist Robbie Krieger, and drummer John Densmore. The Doors became known for their unique blend of rock, blues, and psychedelia, as well as Morrison's powerful and enigmatic stage presence. They released their first album, The Doors, in 1967. It quickly became a hit, with the single Light My Fire reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The band released a series of successful albums over the next few years, including Strange Days, Waiting for the Sun, and The Soft Parade. Morrison's personal life was often tumultuous, and he struggled with substance abuse and addiction. He died on July 3, 1971 in Paris, France, at the age of 27, under circumstances that remain somewhat mysterious to this day. Despite his brief career, he's remembered as one of the most influential and iconic figures in rock music history. Now, most of what I just covered there is common knowledge to those with an appreciation of classic rock. What isn't is that Morrison owned only one car in his lifetime, a 1967 Ford Shelby GT500. He called the car the Blue Lady. Where that car today is a mystery, but like any good mystery, there are several different rumors as to what happened to the car. If this car were to reappear today, it would certainly be one of the biggest news stories in the collector car world. It would be a 1967 Shelby GT500 that was owned and driven by Jim Morrison. A car simply cannot have a better backstory or a higher coolness factor. How Jim Morrison came to own this car is a story in and of itself. After Light My Fire topped the record charts in 1967, the Doors became huge stars. Elektra Records president Jack Holtzman was so happy with his label's first #1 hit, they offered to reward the band members. That reward was anything they wanted. Manzarek and Krieger asked for a state-of-the-art reel-to-reel tape recorder, Densmore chose a horse, and Jim Morrison wanted a new car. It is said that Morrison wasn't exactly sure what car he wanted. That was until he saw the Shelby GT350 owned by his hairstylist, Jay Sebring. A side note here on Jay Sebring. He also unfortunately met an early death. He happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The time was the night of August 8, 1969. The place was Cielo Drive in Benedict Canyon, the home of Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. That night, 4 members of the Manson family, Tex Watkins, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, drove from the Manson ranch to the home of Sharon Tate and her husband Roman Polanski. The group murdered Tate, who was 8.5 months pregnant at the time. Guests: Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger of Folger's Coffee Heiress, her boyfriend Wojciech Frykowski, and Steve Parent, an 18-year-old who happened to be visiting the property's caretaker. Elektra founder Holtzman agreed to buy Morrison a Shelby, but he upgraded the request to a new Night Mist Blue GT500 with the 355 horsepower 420 cubic inch V8 made it to a 4-speed. Roughly 2,000 of these cars were built. The book, The Collected Works of Jim Morrison, Poetry, Journals, Transcripts, and Lyrics, contains excerpts from 28 of Morrison's discovered notebooks, his recorded and unrecorded lyrics, and some of his final writings before his death in Paris. It also contains a script and photos from his unreleased experimental film, Highway: An American Pastoral. This was shot in Southern California, with the majority of the Shelby scenes shot in Joshua Tree National Park in 1969. Morrison starred in the film, and so did his Shelby. Thanks to Highway, we are able to not only see the Shelby, but Morrison behind the wheel. All of this leads to what happened to the Blue Lady. Now, the most prominent explanation is this one. One night, Morrison was driving recklessly and possibly under the influence of something, hit a telephone pole on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. After inspecting the damage, he walked to the Whiskey A Go-Go and partied the night away. When Morrison returned, the car was gone. It has also been said that Morrison parked the car at the LA International Airport when the Doors went on tour. When he returned, weeks later, the car had been towed. There's also speculation that the car was sold and resold multiple times, with the owners unaware of what they had before it was driven into the ground and eventually crushed in the 1980s. Let's go through these stories. It's possible the car was wrecked, stolen, and parted out. That could have happened. If it were towed from the airport, someone somewhere would have been notified, and there's no record of that happening. The last story doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me either, as by the 80s, any Shelby Mustang had value. They were one of the first Mustangs to be appreciated by collectors. By the late 70s, Shelbys were bringing decent money compared to other muscle cars of the era. I'm going to quote Patrick Smith here, and I'll leave a link to his blog in the comments section. He's researched this pretty thoroughly. He's personally discussed the whereabouts of the car with several people who knew Morrison personally, and he's documented those conversations in his blog. He updates it from time to time as new information surfaces. On March 19th, I was contacted by Dave Matthews, SCCA registrar for the 1967 Shelby GT500 cars. A Jeff Mayer reached out to him with some interesting info about Morrison's Shelby post-accident. It appears that someone did buy it from an insurance company as a totaled car, and then proceeded to put this and a few other Shelbys up for sale in the Los Angeles Times classified section of the newspaper. Here's a series of print ads that appeared during October 1971. Now, Patrick goes on to say, while no pictures of the car actually ran in the newspaper, it did list the year, model, and more importantly, the license plate of Jim's car, along with the mileage and the asking price. He goes on to say, I've always wondered why it is that no one ever turned in an engine or transmission to the register bearing the VIN matching Morrison's car. To this date, that still hasn't happened. So that last update was posted in March of 2018. And this is the part where you come in. Maybe you know of a Shelby that's been stashed away for 52 years. It's important to remember that the current owner may not know the importance of this car or what its impact could be to the car community. Now, I know what many of you are thinking out there. Tony, this car is long gone. This is a hopeless endeavor. It's a waste of time. I need to remind you of Steve McQueen's 1967 GT390 car from the movie Bullet that was thought to be gone for years and years and years. And then in 2018, it just appeared. There it was stashed away somewhere. And that may be the case with this car as well. I certainly hope it is, and it's my hope that someone out there sees this video and knows of a Shelby that's been sleeping for 52 years and just happens to look for Night Miss Blue somewhere, and here we go. We have the car back. The blue lady appears again. Now, if you've ever wondered why the 71 through 73 Mustangs are so big, check out this video over here. It'll explain everything to you and how that all came about. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. That would be appreciated. In the words of Jim Morrison, this is the end, at least until the next time. We'll see you.